Hello dear students, I am Dr. Sabina. In my last lecture, I have explained to you about the life cycle of Kara, and in that lecture we have discussed the first part of the life cycle, that is the thallus structure, and in today's lecture we will discuss about the second part, that means reproduction in Kara. In Kara, reproduction takes place by two methods. One is the vegetative reproduction and second is the sexual reproduction. The most common method of asexual reproduction, which takes place in other algal members, that is by the formation of spores, that method is absent in Kara. So now we will discuss about these two methods of reproduction. First of all, the vegetative reproduction. As it is clear from the name, the vegetative reproduction takes place by the formation of certain special type of structures which are vegetative in origin or which originate from any part of the thallus, and these structures detach and by the division of cells produce the new complete thallus. So there are following methods of vegetative reproduction. First of all, the bulbils. These bulbils are rounded or oval or tuberous structures. These originate from the rhizoids or on the lowermost node of the main axis, and after the detachment, these bulbils produce the complete Kara thallus. These bulbils are filled with the reserve food material which is required for the growth of these structures, and that is why these can produce the complete thallus. Second is the formation of amylum stars. These amylum stars are multicellular and aggregate of cells, and these are star-like in look, so is the name amylum stars. And these are also filled with starch, so these are called the amylum stars. And these also originate from the lower node of the main axis, and after detachment these produce the complete Kara thallus. Next is the formation of amorphous bulbils. These amorphous bulbils are group of many cells. These are small cells and these are aggregated to form this amorphous bulbils. These bulbils also originate from the rhizoids or on the lower node. So actually these amorphous bulbils are the perinating structures. That means these structures tide over the unfavorable conditions, and when the better conditions prevail again, these structures produce the complete Kara thallus. Then next is the secondary protonema. This secondary protonema originate from the primary protonema, and primary protonema is formed in the normal sexual life cycle of the Kara, and after the germination of the haploid nucleus which forms the protonemal initial, and that forms the tubular structure or thread-like structure which is called primary protonema. And from the base of the rhizoids of this primary protonema, again tubular structures are formed, and these are called the secondary protonema, and these secondary protonema also help in the formation of new Kara thallus. So in this way, by the formation of special vegetative structures, the reproduction in Kara takes place. Then next we come to the sexual reproduction in Kara. Sexual reproduction in Kara is oogamous type. Oogamous type of reproduction, you will be knowing that here in algae there are three type of methods normally: isogamy, where both the gametes are similar, and isogamy, where both the gametes are structurally maybe similar or functionally different, or these are unequal in size, otherwise these are structurally similar. So that is called anisogamy. But in oogamy, male and female gametes are different from each other, and female gamete does not move. That means it is non-motile and it remains in the gametangium, that is the oogonium. But the male gamete, after releasing from the antheridium structure or the male gametangium, it swims through the water and reaches to the egg of the or the female gamete of the oogonium. So this type of reproduction, which is called oogamous, it takes place in Kara also. The sex organ is in Kara are macroscopic, that means larger in size, as the structure of thallus is also macroscopic and clearly identified with the naked eyes. So sex organs are also visible with the naked eyes on the thallus structure. And the structure of the sex organ is very complex in Kara as compared to the other members of the green algae. Although in the members of higher algae like Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae, the sex organs are complex, but here in the green algae, the Kara is having the most complex structure of the sex organs. The male sex organ is called globule or antheridium also, and the female sex organ is called nucleus or oogonium also. Most of the species are homothallic, that means the male and female sex organs are produced on the same node of the primary lateral in most of the species like Cara zelenica, Cara nuda, Cara fragilis and Cara corallina, etc. But some species are heterothallic also, like Cara wallichii. In heterothallic species, both the sex organs are produced from the different thalli. The sex organs arise from the node of the primary lateral, and the nucleus grows towards the upper side and globule towards the lower side, and these two structures are juxtaposed to each other. That means these are just touching each other. The development of the sex organ is protandrous. Protandrous means although both the sex organs are present on the same node of the same primary lateral, but on the one node the antheridium or the globule develops earlier and the nucleus develops later on. So this is called the protandrous type of sex organs. One thing I also want to tell you here, that although the development is not in your syllabus, but I want to clarify to you that both the sex organs, globule and nucleus, these originate from the same node and the peripheral cells of the node. From the one peripheral cell, complete nucleus is formed, and from the other peripheral cell, the structure of complete globule is formed. So in this way, which we have earlier discussed, that from the primary nodes of the primary laterals, sex organs and the stipuloids originate. So this I want to tell you. Then this is the collected material, and from this is the picture of the collected material. From this picture you can see that in this picture the sex organs are visible. These are the nodes of the world primary laterals, and from these structures globule and nucleus are visible. This is the enlarged structure picture of the whorl of primary laterals, which originate from the main axis. So here the structure of nucleus and globule are very clearly visible, and the color of the globule is orange and the color of the nucleus is dark green in color, but later on after fertilization it changes into the brownish or the blackish color. This is also an enlarged picture of the structure of globule and nucleus. Now we come to the detailed structure of the globule. First of all, this is the primary lateral. These are few nodes, 5 to 15 nodes are present, and the length of the internode on the primary lateral is less as compared to the main axis or the branches of unlimited growth. This is also the enlarged structure. This is internode, this is node. From the node, here the nucleus and this globule originates, and these are the stipuloids. So here is the detailed structure. The globule is spherical in structure and it is made up of 25 cells when it is just developed or when it is young. There is a one cell which is called the stalk cell or the pedicel cell. This cell attaches to the node, so it is also the cell which helps in the attachment of the body to the node of the primary lateral. Then 8 shield cells are present. These are the 8 shield cells, and this is, we can say, form the wall of the globule. And these 8 shield cells later on get enfolded and give the appearance of many more cells. So this is called the pseudocellular structure, or appearance is like it is having many more cells, more than 8 cells, so it is called pseudocellular. The shield cells are orange in color, so is the color of the globule, which is orange in color. From these 8 shield cells, 8 from these 8 shield cells, 8 rod-like cells originate, which grow inwards in the cavity of the globule, and these are called the manubrial cells. So these are also 8 in number, and from the tip of these 8 manubrial cells, small head cells originate, which are called the primary capitular cell. So there are total 25 cells in this way, but this gives the appearance that the cells are more than that. And after that, when further maturation of this globule takes place, from the tip of, sometimes the number of these primary capitula may also be more than 8. These can be 16 also. Now from the tip of the each manubrial cell, either 1 or 2 primary capitula may originate, but normally in normal maximum species it is 1 in number. From each primary capitulum, further 2 to 6 secondary capitula originate, which grows in the center of this globule. From these secondary capitula, from each of the secondary capitula, 2 to 4 thread-like or whip-like filaments originate. These are the filaments. These originate from the secondary capitula, and these are called the enthedial filaments. And in each enthedial filament there may be 25 to 200 cells, and from each of these cells one biflagellated coiled antherozoid is formed. So in this way, total number of antherozoids per enthedium may range from 20,000 to 50,000. That means this high number is of the antherozoids which are liberated by the maturation of the globule structure. So next is how the antherozoids get liberated. When the globule gets mature, the shield cells separate from each other. In this way, you can see in this diagram, these shield cells separate from each other and the enthedial filaments are exposed, and these enthedial filaments absorb water, and each cell of these enthedial filament, which is also called the sperm mother cells, these by absorbing water gelatinize and then liberate the antherozoids, and each antherozoid is highly coiled structure. This is the single antherozoid. This is highly coiled and having single coiled nucleus, and at the tip it is having 2 flagella, so this is biflagellate structure. And coiled and uninucleated structure. So in this way, the liberation of antherozoids takes place, and these antherozoids, these are motile biflagellated, they swim in water up to the time of fertilization. Next, we come to the structure of nucule. Nucule is the oogonium also, as the name. So these are the nucleus which originate on the upper side of the node of the primary lateral. Then this is the enlarged structure, and this is the structure of a single nucleus. So nucleus is bright green in color, and it is made up of two parts: body of the nucleus, that is called oogonium, and a cell here which is called the pedicel. The pedicel cell of the nucleus is smaller as compared to the pedicel cell of the globule, which is slightly larger. The body of the oogonium is enveloped by 5 tube cells, and these 5 tube cells, these are the tube cells, and in this diagram you can see that these are spirally arranged around the body, and so these are called the tube cells. And at the tip of these tube cells, 5 small cells which are cut off from these 5 tube cells, these are called the coronary cells, or collectively the corona. Corona is the name, which is the name of the disease these days, due to which you are listening the topic in this way by digital means. So nucleus in this oogonium, or the nucleus, that is at the basal portion, and cytoplasm is more in this region. This nucleus is called the egg, and the upper portion is having less cytoplasm and hyaline, and this is called the receptive spore to receive the antherozoids at the time of fertilization. So next we come to the fertilization. When the oogonium or the nucleus matures, the 5 tube cells, these get separated from each other, and also the coronary cells get separated from each other. A slightly longer portion, that means neck-like structure, is formed, and a slits are formed, and through these slits the uh, antherozoids can penetrate. The antherozoids are chemotactilically, that means by the formation of some chemical in the ovum, these are attracted towards the oogonium, and these enter through these slits and penetrate into the gelatinized or broken wall of the oogonium. Many antherozoids enter into the oogonium structure, but out of these only one fertilizes the egg, and in this way the diploid structure, that means zygote, is formed, and this zygote secretes a thick wall around it, and that thick wall structure is called the oospore. This oospore after maturity is very hard and oval structure, and this contains a diploid nucleus and many oil globules in the form of reserve food material. So this oospore is the only diploid structure in the life cycle of Cara. Next we come to the how the germination of this oospore takes place, and how the thallus of Cara is produced. So the oospores germinate when the favorable conditions appear. Up to that, this remain stagnant or lying in the bottom of the water body, where the water is less at this time, and these are the unfavorable condition when in the pond or pool the water is less. So after the favorable conditions appear, the diploid nucleus at this stage, or before than that, this moves to the upper part of the, or the apical part of the oospore, and after that it undergoes meiosis and forms the 4 haploid nuclei. Out of these 4 haploid nuclei, this was the just diploid stage, and again the haploid stage has come. The 3 nuclei that move to the bottom of this oospore, and 1 nucleus that remains in the upper transparent or hyaline portion. and a septa and a transverse septa is formed. These three nuclei which move to the base of the oospore that regenerate later on, and the upper one haploid nucleus, which we can say it is the functional nucleus. This nucleus, which is present at the tip, this divides by a longitudinal division and two cells are formed, and the one cell that is called the rhizoidal initial and the other cell is called the protonemal initial. The rhizoidal initial divides and redivides to form a filament-like structure, and this filament is called the rhizoid, and this rhizoid gains the uh, positive geotropism, and this moves towards the muddy substratum of the pond, and the protonemal initial that also divides and redivides and forms a filament like structure which is called protonema. The protonema grows away from the force of gravity, that means it is showing the negative geotropism, and this forms the primary protonema. And the terminal cell of this primary protonema divides and redivides to produce a row of disc-like cells, which I have told you earlier in the first lecture how the growth in the Kara thallus takes place. So these disc-like cells again divide once transversely, and out of these two cells, one is called the nodal initial and another is called the internodal initial. So in this way, growth of the thallus takes place from the protonemal filament, and the rhizoids are produced from the base of the cell from the protonemal initial cell, and in this way complete Kara thallus is formed. So this is all about the life cycle. So next we come to the diagrammatic structure of the life cycle. The life cycle in Kara is haplontic type. Haplontic type of life cycle is the cycle where most of the stages are haploid, and only the zygote or the oospore is the diploid stage which is for only for a limited time. And here you can see the diagrams. If the question is asked about the diagrammatic life cycle, so you have to draw by drawing the diagrams in this way the life cycle. So Kara thallus produces by these vegetative structures like the root tubers or the root bulbils or the amorphous bulbils, or by secondary protonema or the amylum star. So in this way the vegetative structures also produce the thallus. So in this way this is the called the vegetative part. Here is the sexual cycle. Kara thallus, the short lateral from the node, these both structures are produced. In the nucleus, egg or the female gamete is produced in the this globule. In the antheridial filaments are formed from these antherozoids are formed. Then fertilization takes place, zygote and oospore is formed, and this here the meiosis takes place, and this oospore by after meiotic division germinates and it produces the primary protonema. From the primary protonema adult plant is formed. So in this way the life cycle is completed. This is the diagrammatic life cycle, graphic life cycle. Here we don't draw the diagrams, just by writing the names of different stages we draw the life cycle. So this is called the graphic life cycle. Kara thallus, these are various methods of vegetative propagation, and these are the sexual and gametangia, gametes, fertilization. Then this is only the diploid stage, and meiosis again haploid, protonema and adult plant. So this is the haplontic type of life cycle. So depending upon the question, you can just draw the graphic or the diagrammatic life cycle, or you have to explain the complete structure or stages of life cycle, and the diagram or the graphic representation also in the end of the life cycle you have to give. So there are some questions related to this topic. In my earlier lecture also I have told you about the few objective or 1 mark question. Here are some other questions like name the common vegetative structures of reproduction. These just you have to give the names, or if the question is explain the vegetative reproduction, then you have to properly explain the diagram with the diagram also. Then explain the structure of globule in Cara, explain the structure of nucleus in Cara. Then if question is that give the diagrammatic life cycle of Cara, so you have to give only the diagrams. With the diagram you have to draw the life cycle. If question is graphically explained, then graphically word means you have to just explain the life cycle by giving the terms in the form of cyclic pattern. Then if question is explain just no, neither graphically nor diagrammatically, then you have to completely explain the life cycle means globule, nucleus and fertilization, all the complete phenomena. Then discuss about the fertilization. If only 2 marks question or 3 marks question just about the fertilization, then you have to explain briefly the structure of globule and nucleus and the fertilization. Then what do you mean by the term protandrous? I have told you earlier. Then the structure of the antherozoids only. This is the biflagellated, coiled and the uninucleated structure. Then name some common species. Then what type of life cycle in Cara, that means the haplontic life cycle. This also I have told that why this life cycle is called the haplontic life cycle. So this is all about the life history of Cara. I hope it will be clear to you. So thank you very much for listening and understanding the topic. So stay safe and keep learning. Thank you very much.